Today we're going to take a look at Angular2 datatable and how to include this on an Angular CLI project. Here on the NPM homepage there's a link to a live demo where we can see source code and a running demo. Opening this in full screen, you can see that we have paging, 2, 3, 4. We have filtering, where you can type different criteria to search things and filter down. You have the sort control in the top right, and we have the number of rows per page, 15 per page, 5, 10. And you can click the heading of columns to do sorting, ascending or descending, and a lot of great ways to navigate a table of data. We'd like to include that in an Angular CLI project. Over here I've started a brand new Angular CLI project named Table. And we're going to open that with Visual Studio Code. Inside VS Code, we can see the source app folder with our primary view and our primary component TS file. Next, we need to include our dependencies. On the project homepage, we have the install command for including Angular2-datatable. So let's go ahead and run that. Excellent. So the package has been installed. Let's also go ahead and install Lodash. That's a filtering engine that will help us with some of the functionality that Angular2 datatable gives us. It hands off the sort and filter operations to the Lodash library. Okay, with both of those added, we can go over and look at our project. First, I'd like to go ahead and set up the view and the data based on some of the things that we have out in the Plunker project. So first off, we're going to look at the TS file. We're exporting a class called app component. We're going to put in a couple of parameters here. These handle the sorting, filtering, sort field, and number of rows to show per page. We're also going to add a constructor with some sample data. So here's a lot of sample JSON data that we'll be able to use in our new project. And we're going to include a couple of methods on sorting and conversion. This will convert numbers to an integer, and this will sort by the length of a word. These are helper methods that will be used by the datatable library. And here's all of our sample JSON. So we've got some code with preferences and sample JSON, but we need a view to render and display all of that. First, we'll go ahead and remove all of the default templating for a new Angular project. And next, we'll include the table tag. Now in our app module, we need to register a couple of dependencies that are part of the datatable library. And we're going to need to add a declaration that handles the filter pipe. And we're going to need to add a new file for filter pipe. So here we can click New File, give it the name of the TS, data filter pipe. And we can go ahead and include the Lodash dependency, as well as a pipe transform. And what this does is it implements the Lodash filter in a way that comes through that's Angular2 aware. So data filter pipe is something we can leverage over here on the front end. Now with all of that added, we can go ahead and run ngserve to open our project. Here we can see compiled successfully. And if we open localhost 4200, we can see there's a template parsing error. No directive with export as set to MF datatable. Looking at our project, we can see the same sort of thing here, that the properties are not being recognized. Looking closely at the app module TS file, there's something that we left out. In addition to a declaration for the filter pipe, we also need to do an import down here for data table module and forms module. That should help resolve the issue. We can see that Webpack picked up on the file change and is rebundling. We'll go over to our GUI. And now we can see programs up and running. Clicking the headings does sorting, and we can even do some filtering as well. Interesting. Now the branding and the styling doesn't look right. We're probably missing a CSS reference, so let's go double check that. Actually, our index page is going to need a CSS reference pointed out to a CDN here. Go ahead and put a comment on that tag. For the Bootstrap themes, we'll save that. Let Webpack rebundle the project. And now we can see everything rendered with the styles that we're used to. Console's clean at the bottom, no error messages. We can click headings to do sorting. We can do different filters. There's a lot of different great functionality with that. Navigate by pages, how many items to show per page can be adjusted. And all the functionality that we saw in Plunker is now available in our local project. So for a recap, we had to install two dependencies, Angular2-datatable and Lodash. Those were things that we needed to run npm install to save locally. On the code, in our source code, we needed the app component TS to have JSON data, default preferences, and a couple of helper methods for sorting and conversion. We needed a data filter pipe TS, which enables the Lodash library, imports Lodash. It returns the filter method as a data filter pipe, which can be leveraged on the GUI over here. And then we needed the ability to use the mf sort dependencies on the table tag, which were made possible as part of the import on the app module. So we're importing three things: data filter pipe, data table, and forms module. But we need to declare those as imports and declarations down here in the middle. So it's not enough to import them in the header. We need to reference them under declarations and reference them under imports. But with that in place, on our index file, we made a style sheet reference to Bootstrap, and we're up and running. So not too much to it. I mean, there's a view that's indicating the layout of the table. You've got some JSON data with helper methods. I think the biggest thing in getting this working for me was the dependency. That app module TS needed three imports: forms module, data table module, data filter pipe, but also the references, the declaration for the last one and import for the first two. Once those are in place, along with the dependency on the CSS style sheets, we're up and running. We have a local copy of the project that we can include, bundle, ship to other destinations. So that's how you use data table in an Angular CLI project. Thanks for watching.